In this lesson, we're going to continue looking at multi-step equations. The multi-step equations we look at in this lesson are a little bit different. These equations are going to have variables on both sides of the equation. So our steps are a little bit different, but still very similar. So first, you want to simplify each side of the equation, if needed, by doing the distributive property or combining like terms. So remember, from our previous lesson, you check for the distributive property first, and then you check to see if you have like terms to combine. You don't always have one or both of these in an equation, but you want to check for them first. After you complete the distributive property or combining like terms, you're going to do the inverse operation to move the variables to one side of your equation. And typically this one side is going to be the left side. Then you're going to solve the remaining equation. So we're solving the equation by isolating the variable, by undoing the addition and subtraction first, and then the multiplication and division, just like with our previous lessons. And finally, you're going to check your solution. So let's look at these steps and some examples. Number 1, as you can see, I have the variable r on the left side of my equal sign, and I have it on the right side of my equal sign. So this is how this equation is different than the ones we've looked at before. First, we need to simplify it by doing the distributive property. I don't have parentheses, so I'm not going to distribute. Then I need to see if I can combine like terms. Remember, like terms have to be on the same side of your equal sign. So when I look at the left side of my equal sign, I do not have like terms. When I look at the right side of my equal sign, I do not have like terms. So I don't need to distribute and I don't need to combine like terms. So step 2 is to do the inverse operation to move the variables to the left side. What that means is we need to move this variable term to the left. And to do that, we have to do the inverse or the opposite operation. So instead of minus 4r, we're going to add 4r to both sides. And notice when I add 4r to both sides, I line it up with the term that is a like term that I can actually add it to. So over here on the left side, I put the 4r underneath the r, not the 5, because I can't combine it with the 5. So this is going to give me 5 plus 3r equals 2. Because negative 1 plus 4 is 3, and negative 4 plus 4 cancels out. From here, we have a two-step equation. So we need to isolate the r by subtracting 5 from both sides. 5 minus 5 is 0. That's 3r equals 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Then we're going to divide both sides by 3. So I get that r equals negative 1. So I think my answer is r equals negative 1, but we can check that. So starting with our original equation, 5 minus r equals 2 minus 4r. We're going to replace both of these r's with negative 1 because I think that's what my answer is. Now make sure when you replace it, you're putting that negative 1 in parentheses. So it'll be 5 minus parentheses negative 1 equals 2 minus 4 parentheses negative 1. Solving that, we get 5. Remember, this negative times a negative 1, a negative times a negative is a positive 1, equals 2 plus 4, because negative 4 times negative 1 is a positive 4. 5 plus 1 is 6, equals 2 plus 4 is 6, which is a true statement. So I can be confident in the fact that my answer is r equals negative 1. Number 2. So first we check for the distributive property, so we're looking for parentheses, and I do not have it. Then I check my left side to see if I have like terms. I don't. Then I check my right side to see if I have like terms. I don't. So now I need to move my variable terms over to the left. So that means I'm going to have to move the negative v. We do that by doing the inverse operation. So we're going to add v to both sides, making sure we're lining that up with the like term. That would give me negative 1 plus 7v equals 6. Because 6v plus v is 7v, and negative v plus v cancels out. From here, it's a two-step equation. So to solve it, we're going to add 1 to both sides. That gives me 7v equals 7, and then divide both sides by 7, just like we've done in our previous lessons. So I get v equals 1. We're going to check that. So starting with our original equation, negative 1 plus 6v equals negative v plus 6. And we're going to replace both of the v's with 1, because I think that's what my answer is. So it's negative 1 plus 6 times 1 equals negative 1 plus 6. Remember, when we replace it, we always put it in parentheses. When I solve this, that gives me negative 1 plus 6 equals negative 1 plus 6. Negative 1 plus 6 is 5 equals negative 1 plus 6 is 5, which is a true statement. So I know v equals 1 is my answer. Go ahead and highlight numbers 3 through 6. And on the next page, let's look at number 7. So remember, we check for our distributive property first, and if we have parentheses, chances are we need to distribute. And in this problem, number 7, we do have parentheses. So I'm going to be distributing the negative 6 to everything inside my parentheses. That doesn't change the 5n plus 11. But then when I distribute the negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. And negative 6 times negative 2n is a positive 12n. Then I check the left side to see if I have like terms, and I do not. Then I check the right side to see if I have like terms. I do not. So now I need to move my variable term, the 12n. I need to move it over to the left side. And to move it, we have to do the inverse operation. The inverse operation of 12n is minus 12n on both sides. So we're going to line it up with my other term that has an n. 5 minus 12 is 7n plus 11 equals negative 24. Because 12 minus 12 cancels out. Now we have a two-step equation. So to solve this two-step equation, first we subtract 11 from both sides, because remember we're doing the inverse operation. So it's 7n equals, remember negative 24 minus 11, we're going to add and keep the negative, so it's negative 35. Then we divide both sides by 7, and n equals negative 5. So then we're going to check that answer, starting with our original 5n plus 11 equals negative 6 times 4 minus 2n. We're going to replace both n's with negative 5. So 5 times negative 5 plus 11 equals negative 6 times 4 minus 2 times negative 5. So 5 times negative 5 is negative 25 plus 11 equals negative 6 times. Now in this parentheses, we're going to multiply negative 2 times negative 5 first. That's 10. And 4 plus 10 is 14. Then on the left side, negative 25 plus 11 is negative 14. Equals, then negative 6 times 14 is negative 98. So I think I did something wrong. Let me double check my work real quick. Yep. So over here, right here, I've made a mistake. So when I subtract 5n minus 12n, that should be a negative 7n. So let's go back and fix that. So then right here, this is negative 7n plus 11 equals negative 24. So then we're still going to subtract 11 from both sides. So negative 7n equals negative 35. This time we're going to divide by a negative 7. So n is going to be a positive 5 instead of a negative 5. So now let's check that, and that should be right. So just that simple error of forgetting that negative cost us a lot when we checked our answer. So 5n plus 11 equals negative 6 times 4 minus 2n. And we're going to replace the n's with a positive 5. So that's 25 plus 11 equals negative 6 times 4 minus 10 is negative 6. So then 25 plus 11 is 36, and negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive 36. So then my answer of positive 5 is correct. Go ahead and highlight number 8, 9, and 10. And let's take a look at number 11. So number 11, you can see we do have parentheses, so we are going to distribute. On this one, we're going to have to distribute twice. So we're going to distribute negative 8 to that first set and 7 to the second set. So when I distribute, I get 40r minus 56 equals 49r plus 7. I don't have any like terms on either side, so then I'm going to move my variable term, 49r, to the left side by doing the inverse. So we're going to subtract 49r from both sides, making sure we're lining up our like terms. So 40r minus 49r is negative 9r minus 56 equals 7. I'm going to add 56 to both sides. It's just a two-step equation now. So it's negative 9r equals 7 plus 56 is 63. Divide both sides by negative 9, and r equals negative 7. So then we're going to check that answer. So we have negative 8 times, I'm going to go ahead and do some of that math. So negative 5 times negative 7 is a 35 plus 7 equals 7 times. 7 times negative 7 is negative 49 plus 1 is negative 48. So then negative 8 times 42 equals 7 times negative 48. And negative 8 times 42 is negative 336 equals 7 times negative 48 is negative 336, which is true. So r equals negative 7 is my answer. Go ahead and highlight 12, 13, and 14. And again, on number 14, don't let that fraction scare you. Remember, you can use a calculator. Your numbers should still come out to be whole numbers when solving it, even with a fraction. And make sure that when you are combining like terms that you're looking at only one side of your equal sign to see if you have like terms.